This is a technical video on how to configure SonicWall sandboxing technology on the firewall called Capture ATP. So first line item for today, we will cover first what is sandboxing at a very high level, because there are still a fair amount of people today that have heard sandboxing many times, but they don't quite know what it is. Second, we'll cover what set apart SonicWall from others when talking sandboxing. And finally, of course, we'll configure it. So if that's the kind of topic you like, please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on upcoming videos. And also all the link to the content I'll mention will be in the description box down below. So first, what is sandboxing? So as the name mentioned, sandboxing is a box of sand. The issue that arose pretty much with ransomware almost a decade ago was that ransomware recode, recompile, re-encrypt so that a signature-based antivirus that looks for a signature, a string of text, will have a very hard time to catch up with a virus that recode itself, because the code will always be different. So that kind of exposed the weakness of signature-based AV. So the market came out with sandboxing. So the idea is, don't care about signature, care about behavior. So you take the file, virus.exe or virus.pdf, whatever infected file or not infected file, just any file that you don't know if they're good or bad, you send them in the cloud generally or on a physical appliance on-prem that is designed to execute the file and see their behavior, right? So when you click that file, when you run that file in an isolated environment provided by the manufacturer, what happens, right? What services start, processes, what network traffic, what shows up on the screen, what file are created, deleted, modified, all those behavior of what's happening when you click the file. So you can recode, recompile all you want. I don't care. I'll look at what you do. So that is what sandboxing is. And I'll bring it to a human level because I think it's funny the way I explained it. So humans, many don't like spiders, right? So in their head, they have a signature for a small-ish bug with 8 legs, 1 head, and may or may not have fur. So that's their signature for a spider. And when they do, well, they freak out. When they see one, they just go nuts. So that is a signature. But what happens if a small-ish bug with 2 heads, 9 legs, and a Honda Civic metal wing on the back shows up? That doesn't match the signature. Is it good? Is it bad? Would you trust it? Would you let it walk on your head, on your arm? You don't know. We don't have a signature for that thing. It could just be a standard spider that just redesign itself with a fake extra leg to appear benign and not get you to freak out because the count of leg doesn't match, right? So you could have a sandbox here with kids. So let's say they're not fake kids, right? They're not your kids. They're the neighbor's kids. You don't like them. They scream all night long, all day long, and you don't like them, let's say. Or in that case here with IT, that would be the kids of the manufacturer, right? The kids from SonicWall or any other vendor, and it's in the cloud. It's not in your environment, so you really don't care. So you see that spider, 9 legs, 2 head, Honda Civic metal wing on the back. So you take it, you send it to those kids. And as you can see, we have 3 kids. So that could be all 3 operating systems, the most common one, Windows, Mac, and Linux. And so we throw it in there, and they also have their usual tool, like different browsers and the Adobe suite to open PDF and other tools that kids use in a sandbox. And then you put the spider there and you see what happened, and maybe they'll start screaming, maybe the one will get bite, his arm's gonna drop. Then like, okay, it is bad. So the firewall will say, okay, well, it's bad. Let's drop this and not allow that file through, because I don't want my kid to see that 9-leg spider thingy because I've sent it to the neighbor's kid and one screamed like crazy and the other one lost his arm. So that's bad. I know now. Now I know it's bad. So I don't care how many legs they have and everything. You could have 9 legs, 12 legs, 3 head. I send it over there. and I see that those kids don't go well, so I'm not gonna give it to my kid, right? So that's the idea of sandboxing. The sandbox is in the cloud, someone else's environment. You take a file, you don't know, is it good, is it bad? I don't know, I'm gonna throw it there and see what happened. It comes back like, yeah, no, really bad. Don't, okay, good. Firewall drops it, or any other technology that use sandboxing. Endpoint have it, mail security solution have it. A lot of security appliances do have sandboxing. What sets SonicWall apart? Because of course, everybody have it, right? Almost every vendor do have sandboxing. I'm saying almost because still one very known one does not have it after almost 10 years. What really sets SonicWall apart is a few things. So here I'm gonna pop you an image. Here that's something I personally like. See, on the left, you do see a lot of product. That's all the SonicWall product. And all of those products do work with sandboxing. So that's something I like that SonicWall have. SonicWall is not just firewall or just email security or just Wi-Fi, right? Because if you are a company and all you do is email and you collect threats to, gather intelligence and be able to prevent malware and those things, well, if you only have email, well, you'll never ever see any viruses until they hit email. So something I like from SonicWall have firewall for on-prem, firewall in the cloud, Azure, AWS. Also have traditional email security where you point MX record. They also have email security or cloud solution, I should say, for G Suite and Office 365 for email, OneDrive, and SharePoint. Also have a work from home solution, switches, Wi-Fi. So all those things are sending file that they see to that data cruncher we see in the middle here, called the threat intelligence and the AI in there. And when a file is unknown, that means that we don't know if it's good or bad. It's the first time we've seen it. We don't know if it's good or bad. Then that file is going to be sent to about 62 antivirus. So pretty much any antivirus you can think of, well, it's there. So first thing we do for a file we've never seen, send it there, look, is it, and just wait probably a second or less, and we get the result of those 60 plus antivirus that we all know. And if there's one or more that says it's bad, well, that's it. We stop the process. I've got 3 AV that says it's a known virus. That's it. But if they all come back with green and we still don't have further result, then of course it's going to be sent to all sandboxes that SonicWall have. And that's a key point. See at the bottom here, we see 4 sandboxes in there. So that's a key differentiator from SonicWall. They have multiple sandbox engine where a lot of other vendors have only one. And as I said at the beginning of the video, I've said it multiple times, probably not on YouTube, but ransomware have been around for several years, almost a decade now. So of course, the bad guy are trying to find a way to evade sandboxing and appear benign and just to go through. And many years ago was some super basic process that they were running. The ransomware was starting and was looking at the hardware on which it was running. If it sees any hypervisor, the ransomware could have been coded to just exit, quit, don't do anything. So the sandbox would come back, it's like, oh, yep, it doesn't do anything bad. But then when it gets on your machine, it sees a Western Digital hard drive. Like, okay, let's run. Those were basic stuff that was over 5 years ago. And now, of course, they evolve in their way of evading sandboxing. So that's why having multiple of them based on multiple different technologies. One is based on memory, the other one on hypervisor emulator. So that really helps. And I've seen it many times with customer when we do Office 365 security. I've seen like one sandbox completely blind. I haven't seen a thing. The other 3 I was like, I got ya. So that's really a key thing. Otherwise, if you only have one sandbox, it's pretty much flip a coin, like let's hope it works. But when you have multiple, it truly helps. One will fail, the other 2 will catch it, and one might be like, I'm not sure. So that's a big key advantage of SonicWall. Another one you can read on, I'll put links in the description down below. RTDMI is really a patent that SonicWall have. I believe there was like 32 patents, I think I recalled saying on a internal call. So it's really designed to be memory inspection, because a lot of ransomware will load their weaponry in memory and encrypt it. So then when other sandbox technology do a memory dump, well, there's nothing to see. It got encrypted 2 seconds ago, so there is nothing you can see. But when we do real-time deep memory inspection, ransomware or bad programs, code are loaded in memory and they are in clear text for a blink of a second for them to encrypt. So we are able to catch them during that split of a second when stuff get loaded in memory and before they get encrypted. So that's really real-time memory inspection of the CPU is really a key one. And if you want, I'll put another link in the description box down below. I have a brain fart here, but there is a third-party company that performed tests with a lot of ransomware, I should say viruses, and they test SonicWall and many others, and it's been 8 quarters in a row that SonicWall have a 100% score. No false positive, no false negative. So think about it, 8 quarters, that's 2 football games. That's long. Just kidding. It's 2 years. So it's been 2 years that every quarter they test us, and we're the only one that rank 100% 8 quarters in a row. So that's really a key feature. So really, if someone asks me, tell me one reason for SonicWall, I would say sandboxing, blocking malware, and ransomware and those things. It is really impressive what SonicWall has done. Okay, so here I am in a TZ670. It's going to be the same if you have different Gen 7 TZ models, and NSAs will be extremely similar in configuration. So first thing we will do is to ensure that you do have license for Capture ATP. So you go into Device, License, and if you have one of those 2 security suite, either the Essential or the Advanced, you are good. One thing to pay attention, I don't have it here, but if you do see Capture Advanced Threat Protection and a button here that says Need Info, well, you must provide the info. It wants to know in which data center. So if you are in the US, we'll pick up a American data center. If you're in Europe, we do have the data center in Europe as well. So pick, I would say, the closest to you. You must answer that question and provide that info, otherwise Capture ATP is not going to work. So extremely important. Also, we'll go into My SonicWall so that we look at license of that specific unit, and that again, we make sure that it doesn't ask for information. So My SonicWall, login, go into product, my product. In that case, it's a 670. So that's my firewall, license. And of course, it's a unit I have. You'll see stuff expired. I'm moving from one security suite to another to test out things. Let's see here, Capture ATP. I have that info. It's enabled, and we see which data center I did pick in the past. So ensure that you have this and you do not have something requiring information. So when that is done, next we can go straight into configuring Capture ATP. So it is into policies, Capture ATP, and settings. Here, enable Capture ATP. I think it could be a good idea to turn that on and hit on save. So see here, I do have green checkbox. If you do not have green checkbox, those need to be addressed, right? Here, something important, Capture ATP relies on the gateway antivirus. So gateway AV is kind of a requirement for Capture ATP to work. So you need to have gateway antivirus set properly. So I'll put in the description box down below a link on how to configure the gateway antivirus, but I'll show you very quick here. It's pretty handy, right? It's green, but if it's red for you, you can click on Manage Setting, and it brings you to Security Services, Gateway AV. We see it's on everything inbound. On purposely, I left some off, so that's why if we go back here, you see I do have red axes, and you might be like, well, I'd like it to scan everything, right? So we'll go back in Gateway Antivirus, turn those on, hit accept. And if I go back here, it's all green. right? So if I go back on my AV, so everything is turned on, we're good. And next, of course, check the video. I've done a video that is much longer than the 2 minutes I'm gonna take here. And one thing you need to ensure, see, there is a little note at the top, enable gateway antivirus per zone. So you need to go into zones to make sure that the AV is enabled, because you can turn it off or on per zone as you want. So as you can see here, gateway AV, it is enabled for LAN, WAN, my home automation network, for my IoT and my SonicWall zone. So if you do not have multiple zones in here, I would strongly advise that you go watch my video about network segregation. So as you can see here, gateway AV, it is turned on the most important zone for me. SonicWall zone is this very laptop. IoT is, as you know, all the IoT in my house. And LAN, I got my lab with other stuff in there. So you need gateway AV to be on those zones, and gateway AV to be set, and see it is on everything. So now I can go into Capture ATP and settings. I got all my green checkbox. Here it's all checked as well. File type for Capture ATP analysis. I want Capture ATP to send every type of file in the cloud. And I'm gonna hit accept. Next, we'll go into the advanced menu and look at options we have here. So choose an address object to exclude from Capture ATP. So you could exclude stuff. I'm not a big fan of it. When I see people having issues or stuff being blocked that needs to be allowed, I would prefer to do an exception for that very specific use case versus doing an exception for an entire subnet or an entire machine, right? I don't think it's what I prefer doing, but you know, the option is there. Maybe you have things that that's exactly what you would need. One that I want to point attention on, files sent to Capture ATP cloud service for analysis. So let's say your favorite restaurant has a new PDF menu and you are the first one on the planet to go see their menu. So no one knows, is this file good? Is it bad? We don't know. We've never looked at it, and you're the first one on the planet to have that file. So by default, there is an option here, allow file download while awaiting verdict. Security-wise, of course, it's not the best, because if that PDF menu from your favorite restaurant turned out to be infected because your favorite restaurant got hacked and they changed the PDF and put some malware in the menu to infect people, well, you're the first one, the file will go through, we will send it to the cloud to be analyzed, but we'll still deliver the file to the end user. So the end user will be infected, of course, if the file is infected, and you'll receive an email 2 minutes later saying, hey, go check Johnny PC, he probably got something bad running. And you'll be like, well, I know, I've been running around for a minute and a half, right? So the other option is to block file until a verdict is reached. And of course, it gives you a warning here. I understand that this may cause delay in download times for my user and may require user to retry the download. So you say yes. So what's going to happen here? I was talking about a PDF. It's nice what SonicWall did. If you go browse the web, trying to click a PDF, and turns out you're the very first one on the planet to click that PDF. We've never ever seen that PDF, not just for you, but every SonicWall worldwide customer, never seen that file before. You will see a screen saying Capture ATP analyzing, please hold, right? And once the verdict is reached, the browser will refresh and you'll see your favorite restaurant menu, the PDF. That is obviously quite rare that it happened, but it does. I've seen, of course, issues, for instance, with your bank. If you go download your bank account statement, which is a PDF, I truly hope that you're the first one to see that file. So that could be annoying, and that's why you can do exclude, see here, choose an address object to exclude from blocking download, and there is another one, CHP host name to exclude from Capture ATP. So it could be an option to put your bank in here if you trust them, obviously. So that's the difference between both. Here, less secure, but much more better than having this off, right? But you know, here again, any file will be let go and once a verdict is reached, then we'll notify you that it was bad. Of course, best is to go here. Like I mentioned, on PDF, it's not that bad. It's gonna give you a message, and I've tried a few times, and the worst I got was like 20 seconds to wait, and the best was just a blink of that page. I barely saw it. Where the error message we got was saying, not the error message, the warning we got here, user may need to retry download. It's in the event where you actually download a file like an exe. So if you click download the exe, it's gonna fail. So that means that we've sent the file to the cloud, we're waiting for verdict, we're working hard on it. But we haven't finished yet. So if the user retry to download that exe a quarter second after, if we're not done yet, the download will fail again. So the download will fail until Capture ATP is done analyzing the file. So it could take 5-10 seconds maybe. Usually I've seen that was pretty quick, like the vast majority was all done within 30 seconds. So that being said, personally, I would advise maybe start with the allow, make sure everything works fine. Then you may want to, I would advise to pick the block until verdict. Make sure you kind of send a memo to the organization and get your boss to back you on this, because we've all seen people that are not very productive at work and they always trying to find reason or something to blame because they're not good at work. And they might say, well, that's the reason why I'm unable to do my job is because the firewall is blocking us. This is just unbelievable, the amount of time I lose during a day, right? So we've all seen those. So if you don't want to be blamed for things like that, I always like to get the okay from my manager, so it's not my problem anymore. Here you do, oh, and one point is also, while I'm thinking about it, a lot of traffic that we see in the firewall is web. And for a few years now, everything is HTTPS. So you do need to have DPI-SSL turned on so that the firewall will be able to decrypt HTTPS communication, see files, and send them to Capture ATP to be analyzed. If you do not have Capture ATP, if you do not have DPI-SSL turned on, all files sent through encrypted web traffic, HTTPS, will not be analyzed, no matter if you pick allow or block here. They won't be seen. They go through the firewall encrypted. So another link I'll put in the description box down below. You need DPI-SSL, just generally speaking security, because otherwise many services will not be able to work, because again, firewall does not see the traffic, it's encrypted. So we need the firewall to be able to decrypt stuff. Here you can, if you want to exclude file from being inspected. Personally, not a fan. I want everything to be inspected, but again, option is here. And Capture ATP location, we do have it for cloud. I would say probably over 99% of people go with the cloud inspection. So the file is just uploaded to the cloud to be inspected. Larger customer that have very sensitive information, that information cannot leave their premise, we do have a local Capture ATP appliance. It's called the ICSA, Capture Security Appliance. And you can check that, select the IP address that your appliance has, so all the sandboxing will be done locally in the appliance that you bought. Most of you guys will just pick the cloud. So that's pretty much it, to be honest. It is an amazing feature. That's why I spent, I believe, more time explaining what it was than actually demoing it, because, well, it's pretty straightforward to configure, right? It's, you just turn it on here, turn those on, ensure you got green everywhere. Block will be my favorite one, but block until verdict here. That's about it. I mean, it's an amazing feature with 6 clicks. Oh, and you need to accept 7 clicks. So an amazing feature, 7 clicks. Yeah, do turn it on. Next here, you do have scanning history. So it's kind of nice. Of course, I don't have any because I just turned it on for you guys. But you would be able to see files that have been scanned, and of course, what was the file, where it was from, source destination. So, you know, fair amount of good information. So then, you know, if someone asks like, hey, why this thing blocked? Well, Of course, logs would be the best source to go, but you can also get more information through here. And you do have a button here, submit a sample. So if there is a file that you're not sure you'd like the file to be sent for Capture ATP to look at it, that's something you can do here. It has to be under 100 meg, and you got different file type, and you may want to check this here, reanalyze file if already exists. So what you're saying is, here is a file, but please rerun all the check, even though you've already run all those checks before. So that's something you may or may not want to check based on your specific need. In here, we do have an example where the firewall did see a file that actually was the very first time that any SonicWall product across any customer worldwide was seen. So it was the very first time that file have been seen. So as you can see here, it's written detonate at yes. So it went through all the 4 sandbox engine. And as you can see here, we do have different behavior. So the auto debugger, so checking for debugger present. The auto run is a classic one as well. Network, spot suspicious data traffic. Network have capability to access and emulate network resources. Search file, it was searching for specific files. Security, use cryptography API. Static machine learning, detect malicious files by static PI machine learning. Storage, delete windows. Shadow volume copy, possible ransomware. And storage, unusual, modify, encrypting user data, possible ransomware. Again, suspicious behavior, searching and stopping specific processes. Yara scan, no clue what that is. Detecting static malicious code in file or memory. Interesting enough. So, those are behavior that this file, when it actually got run in the cloud, and that cloud environment was running the file and actually saw all those behavior. Now, moving on to network. So again, that file, when it ran in the cloud, we saw a fair amount of network connection. So without big surprise, 137, 138 as port is a classic for ransomware. We do see some DNS queries and other stuff as well. So nothing very surprising here again. And now moving on to processes created. And as we can see, a lot of stuff regarding shadow copy, right? The first one is shadow copy delete. Never tried that command, but I have a good idea of what it may do. That BCC edit set default boot status copy, no clue what that is. The other one, no clue either. The one for cmd.exe, VSS delete, shadow, all quiet. Yeah, that seems like legit for ransomware to delete again Windows shadow copy using a quiet mode, I assume here. And now registry. So as we can see, it does a fair amount of things. I'm not gonna go through every single one of them because it seems like there is a lot of them. But as we saw with all the previous stuff, that's probably registry keys I would not want a user to have, or those keys to be on any machine in a corporate network. So again, that is a nice view of what you can see in the firewall when you are the very first one to click a file that has never been seen before. If the file has been seen before, you will get less information. You will just get a message that it is known to be XYZ, it's known to be a bad thing. But again, that's perfectly normal. It's just that we've seen that file before. So thanks for watching. I hope you liked it, and well, please turn it on, and see you in the next one. Have a good day.